Hello, Big Show nerds. All kinds of stuff still happening right here on Big Show Entertainment Network. I am Dustin, bringing you your nerd news rumors for December 13th, 2019. We have a lot. This is actually smaller than I anticipated. This is the first time that I've been able to get all of my stuff onto one sheet of paper since we started doing the nerd news headlines right here on Big Show. So, kind of smaller in comparison, but because it has been a week, we do have a fair amount to cover, so intro. We have news. We have a little bit of news. There is going to be a little bit of news in this episode. Really, like 2 or 3 points of actual news, and then everything else, like I said, is going to be rumors. So, first piece is a sad piece, and this is one of the news pieces. Rene Auberjonois, who was Odo on Star Trek Deep Space Nine, which is my Star Trek, also was the voice of the chef in The Little Mermaid, which I found out when I got to interview him a couple years ago. Sadly, Rene has passed away. He was 79, he had lung cancer, and that is what took his life. Very sad day. His Deep Space Nine cast has paid some pretty touching tributes to him online, social medias and all that stuff. So, again, pretty sad day for... He did have quite a bit of nerd cred. He's done some voice work in a lot of nerdy things, so... really, really kind of heartbreaking. And he was a really awesome interview. He was so warm and fun to talk to. And yeah, so just kind of one of those things that's just like, he had a good run because he was, getting up there. He was just about an octogenarian, but yeah, sad day for the nerd community. But we must move on, and the first piece of rumor news actually is one that I don't think is going to happen, but it's fun to talk about, and since it's of any point in history when this piece has come up, now is probably the most likely that it will happen, but I still don't think it will happen. What am I talking about? Beetlejuice 2. So yeah, 31 years after the first movie, there are new rumblings. There has been rumblings since the first movie about a sequel. Kevin Smith was even brought in to potentially write a sequel to the movie back in the 90s. So, that being said, it's not really new that there's a rumor that Beetlejuice is getting a sequel. The new part is that Warner Brothers apparently is talking to Michael Keaton about returning for Beetlejuice 2 now. And what with all of this crazy push for original content on everyone's new streaming platforms, it kind of makes a little bit of sense, right? Like the Warner Brothers, what is the Warner Brothers streamer? Warner Brothers streamer was the HBO Max. And so this might be like, if it happens, it might be one of those HBO Max exclusive releases. Again, this rumor has been floating around for so long, it's hard to take it seriously. Next, we have kind of rumor, spoiler stuff for The Rise of Skywalker. Again, not going to read explicitly the spoiler bits because there have been more leaks, quote-unquote leaks, from the Star Wars camp. What I will say about these new leaks is that apparently the ending of The Rise of Skywalker, which we've kind of brushed on in previous episodes, is going to change. They have taken the cuts from when it was 3 different versions and then the 9 different versions, and now apparently test screeners are saying that there's a new ending, and the new ending, from what I have read and heard from multiple sources, sounds a lot better than what they had before. This gives me a little bit more hope. There is also some kind of sort of small rumblings that all of these leaks could be PR, all of these leaks could be intentional, and the actual movie is not going to be anything like what these leaks are hinting at, or are explicitly laying out, I guess. I don't think that's likely. I think, honestly, some people have gotten a hold of that script, the John Boyega script that was up for sale on eBay for like 10 seconds. And now we have test screeners who are legitimately coming forward, who are going, because they probably had to sign NDAs, so they're probably coming forward anonymously and making their money from the people who are paying for the leaks. But yeah, it seems that the ending of The Rise of Skywalker has been changed from one that was pretty disappointing to the fans to one that actually has a glimmer of hope that the fans might appreciate it. We'll see in a week when it comes out, and yeah, we'll talk about it then. Next, we are talking about Rick and Morty crossover potential. So Rick and Morty and Doc and Marty, so the parody that Rick and Morty is supposed to be, which is Doc and Marty from the Back to the Future series. Christopher Lloyd says that there is not going to be a Back to the Future 4 movie. He said that is a certainty. So he is now saying that he would love to do a crossover, which has then created rumors that it's gonna happen. I honestly think that the most likely scenario in this rumor is that they get Christopher Lloyd and potentially even Michael J. Fox to do voices in the animated series for Rick and Morty, and maybe even officially licensed versions of Doc and Marty, where Rick and Morty travel to a parallel dimension where they are Doc and Marty. That makes more sense, but I don't think there's going to be any live action involvement. I don't think there's going to be any official movie that is as such, like some of the rumors are saying. Some of the rumors are saying that they're going to do a whole potentially animated, half live action movie that deals with this crossover. It might be a 30-second bit in an episode at best. I feel like at best it'll be a whole episode, but still, that will be best case scenario. I really don't think they're going to dedicate more than 22 minutes to this. Next, we have a very interesting piece that is started at the source, kind of. Dave Bautista, who we know as a WWE wrestler. He was in Blade Runner 2049. He's been in quite a bit of stuff recently. He was Drax the Destroyer in the Marvel movies, probably most famously. And he tweeted a picture that you're looking at right now on your screen that kind of has the internet abuzz. So if you'll remember, Bautista and James Gunn are very close. They got so on the set of Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. So Bautista, when the whole James Gunn thing kind of fell apart, Bautista took James Gunn's side very, very vehemently. Because of that, there was talk between Bautista and James Gunn about Bautista joining the Suicide Squad cast. And then all of a sudden, all of that kind of went mute. And now we get this picture. So the rumor is that Bautista is going to be in Suicide Squad, or more likely actually the Batman, as Bane, which is perfect for a dude that is built like Dave Bautista. So I hope this rumor is true. This would be a freak, because he's actually a pretty okay actor. He's not the greatest actor, but he's got a little bit of range. Watch Blade Runner 2049 again and tell me that he isn't a very different character than he is in the Marvel movies. Next is a really quick piece about Beauty and the Beast spinoff. A movie is reportedly in the works. I was only able to get this from one source, so I don't know how reliable it is, but apparently Disney is working on a spinoff movie from Beauty and the Beast for Gaston. It's still, apparently, according to the rumors, still very, very early in the discussions for such things, so we don't know if they're going to be bringing any of the cast from the live-action Beauty and the Beast movie back for this, namely the title character, but it is apparently being talked about, according to the rumor. Next, we are talking a little bit more about the Batman. First, we have word that, because it's been in flux in a lot of ways. One of the more interesting fluxes that it has been in is that we don't know how many villains Matt Reeves was going to put into this movie. I think the last count for potential villains was somewhere between 7 and 9, which is kind of excessive. If we have learned nothing from 90s comic book adaptations, that one thing should be you don't do every possible storyline at once. You focus on one thing, do it well, and if you do it well enough, then you can come back for another movie and focus on another thing. Because Judge Dredd is a prime example of trying to do 17 things all at the same time and then everything falling to pieces. So that was kind of sounding like what Reeves was doing inadvertently. Now this rumor is saying that Warner Brothers has limited the movie to 5 villains, and those 5 villains are Riddler, Catwoman, Penguin, Clayface, and Mad Hatter. Though that's not to say we won't see Harvey Dent, that is to say we will not see Harvey Dent as Two-Face, except for maybe as a post-credit stinger. The other potentially horrible thing that is rumored to be happening right now with the Batman movie is Warner Brothers wants to bring Joaquin Phoenix in as the Joker. Not as Arthur Fleck proto-Joker, but as the Joker. The nameless, originless character that we all know and love from the comic books. They want to bring Joaquin in as that. This is very much rumor. If this rumor is true, then Warner Brothers, we have to have a talk, because that would be stupid. And it wouldn't be for the Batman movie, because like I said, they've limited it to those 5 villains. It would be, though, for a subsequent sequel that is very likely going to happen after this first Matt Reeves Batman movie. So moving from there, we are still in the realm of DC movies. We're talking about Constantine. That's right. Warner Brothers is also apparently talking about rebooting Constantine with Keanu Reeves returning as John Constantine, which kind of would be awesome. The rumor says that their plan, should this come to fruition, would be something a la Deadpool. Because if you remember, Ryan Reynolds was first Wade Wilson in that really horrible piece of fan fiction that is the Wolverine. Oh, it was so bad. Or Wolverine Origins, I guess. Both were not great. Origins was worse, though. Primarily because of what they did to Deadpool. And then Ryan Reynolds was like, no. This is how we should do Deadpool. And it was one of the best comic book movies ever. So Warner Brothers is kind of hoping to capitalize on that same momentum with Keanu Reeves playing John Constantine. Now we are going to switch gears back over to Disney and Marvel for the last bit of actual movie rumor, and then we have a TV rumor and some gaming rumors and a little bit more news to cap it off. So the final movie rumor has to do with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, reportedly, and also deals with Deadpool, kind of. I say kind of, directly. So apparently part of the plot for Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, is that we will be seeing the Fox X universe. And this will be how we see our final touches of the existing cast of the Fox Marvel movies, according to the rumor. So these Fox Marvel characters very likely will be returning. Which of them, we don't know for certain, though it is rumored that we will be seeing very likely Hugh Jackman as Wolverine and Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. Now, there is also rumors swirling around saying that we're going to be seeing 2 different iterations of Deadpool. This one being the first, and the second one being one that has existed in the MCU from the beginning, chronologically, but he doesn't come to the forefront until, events happen and things. So I don't know exactly how likely this is. My personal feeling is that Feige is going to introduce the X gene in a more organic way and not a Marvel Comics circa the 2000 teens, where it was like, hey, it's an alternate universe and there's all this diversity checklist characters that happen to be around, and look, Thor's a woman all of a sudden in this other dimension. I feel like it's going to be a more organic thing. Feige is a better storyteller than to take this cheap way out. So I don't think the second half of this rumor has legs. The first half, definitely. We very likely could see cameos because we're dealing with multiverse, right? So we very likely could see cameos from any of those Fox properties, because that would be a little bit of a fan service to the people that actually liked those movies, which are kind of few and far between, but, it is what it is. So then our last piece of non-gaming news, or rumors rather, is Percy Jackson. Apparently, Disney Plus is in talks to reboot the Percy Jackson live-action franchise as a series, in which they would be casting the lead roles as unknown actual teenagers, because the kid who played Percy Jackson was 18 in the first movie and then was like 20-something in the second movie. Even though those were well received, it just didn't really go anywhere. So the rumor says that they will be rebooting from scratch the Percy Jackson series on Disney Plus as a series, and the first season of which would be the first Percy Jackson book, which makes sense, right? So that's potentially, there's no reason why this one wouldn't happen. Though I don't know, because it is so early in discussions, according to the rumor, if it will get picked up or if it'll just sit in pre-production hell forever. Now we have a couple of gaming rumors we're going to touch on, and the first one actually starts with a piece of news, because I can't give you the rumor without giving you the news first. So that piece of news is that BioShock is getting a proper fourth iteration. It's been 6 years, I believe, since BioShock Infinite was released, and now we finally have news that 2K Games is in fact going to be putting out a fourth game. It is going to be developed by a new development company. I didn't put that down because that's not part of the rumor. That part is hard fact. You can go look that one up. The rumor for this game is that this company has actually been, even though it was only recently announced, like within the last 3 days announced, this company has been working on this BioShock game for about 2 years now. And remember, development cycle on games is significantly longer than a movie. So if it has been in development for 2 years, then we very potentially are about 18 months away from it releasing. And that's the rumor, because there's no way for us to substantiate the fact that this company has A, been in existence for 2 years, and B, been working on this game for 2 years. I mean, there is some digging potentially that could be done, but I don't know if any of that digging would turn up the actual development of the game. So I didn't have the time to dig into the history of the company, and definitely it's impossible to dig into the history of the game because it just got announced. So there is that. The tail end of this rumor is that we will be hearing some sort of announcement for it at the next E3. So very likely, since they just announced it, we'll be getting something, and the rumor says that something is, hey, we're going to be releasing this right before the next generation of consoles, which is an interesting choice. Or it could be a launch title for the next generation of consoles, judging by the time frame given by the person who has the rumor. So, and then our next piece, this is our last technical rumor, but there is one more piece after this. So our last rumor is Left 4 Dead. Valve, being wonderful, has decided to finally revive this franchise. What with us getting Half-Life Alyx and the development for that, now the rumor says, because of the fan adoration for most Valve properties, and because of the crazy excitement over Half-Life Alyx, we are now going to be seeing a new Left 4 Dead game, which is kind of awesome. Again, I feel like this one is more likely to come out on the next generation of systems, so the PS5 and the Project X Xbox. It's a really weird naming thing that they've come to. The Game Awards, there was a lot of really great announcements at the Game Awards. So go watch that, because then you'll understand why I just called it Project X. Anyway, so our final piece is actually more news, even though this is supposed to be just rumors. But the reason we are covering this news is because it's Mortal Kombat. And it's actually multi-tiered Mortal Kombat news. So first of all, how about that trailer at the Game Awards? Speaking of the Game Awards, wow. So the Joker got a little bit of a tweak to his his design that makes him look less like a grumpy teenager and more like a deranged psychopath. So I'm totally on board. I don't care what the haters say. This version of Joker looks much better than the version of Joker we got at the announcement of the DLC pack. But yeah, so news is the movie has wrapped on primary photography, so we are going into post-production and then potentially pickup shots and reshoots and all of that. So we're getting very, very close. Because we're getting very, very close, the other piece of news around the movie is that the release date has moved from March to January of 2020. It was March 5th. It is, or 2021 rather. It was March 5th. It is now January 15th. So almost a full 2 months. And the final piece of news surrounding Mortal Kombat has to do with Mortal Kombat 11. And this one we knew was coming, kind of. The piece of news is that crossplay is going to be a thing in the near future, though they did not say specifically when. The announcement was kind of made on Twitter, was kind of made on their website. You kind of have to dig for it, but it is there. Crossplay, spelled with a K, of course. Crossplay is coming. It is only going to be for casual matches, so you will not be able to do matchmaking. The proper ranked Combat League stuff will not be crossplay, but you will be able to do casual matches. You will be able to set up rooms for crossplay events, all of that. So now all of those tournaments that are going on that us Xbox players can't join, there is no reason why we shouldn't be able to join now. Jerks. So that's, I'm super stoked about that. It is only going to be for Xbox and PlayStation 4 when it happens, though that's not to say we won't eventually see it on PC and the Nintendo Switch and the Google Stadia, because Mortal Kombat 11 is also on Stadia, even though, issues. So yeah, very, very exciting time in the Mortal Kombat community, and I'm super stoked about it. And that does it for the Nerd News Rumors, guys. Thank you very much for joining me. What should we talk about in the next one? Let's talk about that in the comments down below. For a more in-depth conversation on these nerdy bits, plus a lot more nerdy stuff, you can check out my personal YouTube channel, Generally Nerdy, in which we go into a lot more stuff, reaction videos, trailer breakdowns, all that kind of stuff, Comic-Con coverage, all of that happens over on my YouTube channel, Generally Nerdy. But while you are here on the Big Show Entertainment Network, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share on all of the Big Show Entertainment media platforms. And tune in next week, guys, for all that's happening or might be happening across the nerd world.